Welcome to the Blanketrol 3 training video. To turn on the machine, flip the switch in front of the Blanketrol 3 and the device will go through a series of self-checks. The user interface will flash and you'll hear some beeps. Once the self-checks are complete, the center display will tell you to check set point. To stop the flashing check set point message, hit the temp set button and get ready to precondition the water. To precondition the water, you'll either set the water for 4 degrees Celsius or follow your hospital's protocol. Use the up and down arrows until you get the prescribed temperature. When you reach the desired temperature, you're going to hit the manual control button, which will activate the circulation of the water inside the Blanketrol. The Blanketrol 3 can be used in degrees Celsius or degrees Fahrenheit. You can toggle back and forth by hitting the C to F button. While you're waiting for the water to reach the proper temperature, make sure to have the proper GenTherm supplies ready to take care of your patient. Be sure to have a GenTherm water blanket or Kool Kit ready, the patient temperature connecting cable and patient probe, and up to 3 hoses to connect to the blankets. Application of Kool Kits. In this segment, we're going to review the application of the Kool Kit. Please understand that this is for demonstration purposes only. The patient's probe has not been placed, and we're using a simulator for this demonstration. First, we'll apply the patient vest. Roll the patient onto their side. If you were doing this in an emergency department, you'd roll the dirty sheets up underneath the patient. Roll the patient vest behind the patient's back, with the opening ending up around the thoracic spine between T2 and T4. Roll the patient back onto the other side and pull the patient vest through and any other dirty sheets that might be there. Put the chest flaps over the patient and Velcro them down. We want to make sure while we're applying the patient vest that it completely covers the upper vasculature of the chest. The vest should be snug into the clavicles and wrap nicely around the flanks. Once the patient vest has been applied, attach the hose to begin cooling. Be sure to leave all lead wires, leads, and defibrillator pads in place in case the patient needs them at a later point. Next, we'll pre-fill the head wrap. To pre-fill the head wrap, attach another hose from the Blanketrol unit. Gently lift the patient's head to apply the head wrap underneath. Slide the head wrap down to approximately T4 and wrap the head wrap around the forehead. If you have a monitoring device on the forehead, leave it in place. Gently wrap around and Velcro down. Wrap around the neck and make sure the ear is clear. If your patient has an intracranial pressure monitor or they have long hair, you can thread it out the top of the head wrap. If not, close the flaps for a snug fit. Once the head wrap is in place, we're going to apply the lower body blanket. To apply the lower body blanket, place it between the hips and the knees and tuck it in slightly around the legs. Connect it to a hose, with the hose coming out of the side. Once the blanket starts to fill up, cooling has fully been initiated. Alternate treatment techniques. In some patients, a chest tube or the insertion of a subclavian line is required. To maintain cooling, undo the Velcro on the side of the patient vest where the chest tube or line will be placed. Wrap the patient vest chest flap around the patient's arm in order to expose the chest, while maintaining the same coverage on the body's surface area. In the case that a patient cannot be fully covered by the patient vest, take each side of the vest and wrap it around the patient's arms. Next, remove the lower body blanket and replace it with a full body blanket. This will provide better coverage of a patient whose vest does not close completely. The blankets should be placed directly on the patient's skin. Attach another hose from the Blanketrol unit. Blanketrol 3 operation. Today, we're going to review manual mode, automatic mode, 10C gradient mode, gradient variable mode, the smart feature, and the monitor-only mode of the Blanketrol 3. In manual control mode, You are only controlling the temperature of the water, nothing else. To start, hit the temp set button in the center of the console. Then, using the up and down arrows, you will set the temperature of the water at a maximum temperature of 42 degrees Celsius and a minimum temperature of 4 degrees Celsius. When you reach your desired temperature, hit the manual control button and the water will begin circulating. To use the Blanketrol 3 in automatic mode or either gradient mode, you must have a temperature sensing device or probe in or on your patient and connected to the Blanketrol 3. To use the auto control mode, hit the temp set button in the center of the console. Then, using the up and down arrows, set the patient's desired temperature. Then press automatic control button. The water will begin circulating. To use the gradient 10C mode on Blanketrol 3, ensure your patient has a temperature sensing device connected. Then press the temp set button in the center of the console. Use the up and down arrows to set the desired patient temperature. When the desired patient temperature is set, press the gradient 10C button. The water will begin circulating. The maximum water temperature difference will be 10 degrees higher or 10 degrees lower than your patient's body temperature. The water temperature will change based on your patient's needs. To use the gradient variable mode, ensure your patient has a temperature sensing device connected. Then, press the temp set button in the center of the console. Use the up and down arrows to set the desired patient temperature. When the desired temperature is set, press the gradient variable button. The center status display will show variable gradient offset 0 degrees Celsius. You will enter the gradient variable offset that your hospital has desired in its protocol using up and down arrows. Set the desired gradient variable offset for your institution. When the desired gradient value is set, press the gradient variable button. The water will begin circulating. The water temperature will change based on your patient's core temperature, plus or minus the gradient variable value, based on your patient's needs. The Smart feature should be used in the gradient variable or the gradient 10C mode. The Smart feature evaluates your patient's temperature every 30 minutes. If your patient is not at target temperature within that time, it adds 5 degrees more to your gradient value to help your patient reach target temperature. The monitor-only mode in the Blanketrol 3 can be used to monitor your patient's temperature and evaluate if there is a need for therapy.